We're going to go ahead and take a look, do a quick run through on the selfie stick assembly. So as you can see, I have all the parts here loaded in Onshape, and I will share this file with you so that you don't have to worry about uploading the shapes into Onshape. So all right, so here we are. So you'll notice that each one of my shapes have their own part assembly, and we just went ahead and loaded those here into the assembly portion. So if you need to bring parts into the assembly, you just click here on Insert, and then you can choose which parts you want to bring in. Or if you need to go look in other documents, you can do that as well from your Onshape files. All right, so here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the main part of the stick here. This is the part that we'll probably want to base everything off of. So so I don't want this part to move around much, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that in place. So I'm just going to right click on the part, hit fix, and then now you can see that that part does not move. All right, so moving forward, we're going to go ahead and use the mates up here to, again, assemble this thing together. So there's a few of the parts that we need to put in certain orders and whatnot. So I'm just going to go ahead and start putting some of those together. So for example, this little peg here goes up through this. So we're going to go ahead and put that one together. We know that this guy is going to go right here. This guy kind of fits and slides in that part there. This is going to be what's going to go through the peg handle there to allow the rotation. And then obviously this goes through that as well. So all right, so to do that, I like to use the short keys on the keyboard, so I'm going to hit M to pull up a mate, and then you can just choose whatever mate that you need to at the time. So the first one I'm going to use is the fasten mate, and we're going to put this little guy inside of the hole there. So we're going to go fastened, and then I'm going to choose, you could choose all the way up here, but I'm actually going to use right here at the base of this, and then we're going to choose that as our first mate connector. And then I'll rotate this around, and we'll choose that I want this part of the base to be up against this, so we'll make sure to hover over this, hold shift, and then I can get the mate connector out there in the middle. So that one should be good. So we're going to go ahead and hit check there. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on top of the little piece that rotates here. And so again, that's going to be a fasten mate. And since I did the first one and hit OK, it automatically pops up, assuming we want to do another mate. So again, I'm going to just go ahead and do a fasten mate. So I'm going to hover over the face that I want to work with, hold shift. And I'm going to choose this one because it's convenient, and I should be able to find the center point on the other one as well. So I'm going to click that for our first mate connector, and I want that to sit flush on this. So that's going to go right here on this one. So I'll hover over the face, hold shift, click there, and you'll notice that the little peg didn't come with it. So if I wanted to just check and make sure, you can click solve, and then you can see that it brings that over and finishes calculating all the other mate connectors that are involved with it there. So all right, so that first little part is done. Okay, the next part that we're going to do is actually a revolute. We'll put the little connector or little pin in later, but let's just put this inside of the little holder there. So, so again, using the short keys, you can just hit M on the keyboard. We can change this to a revolute this time. This is going to allow that to pivot, and I'm going to choose this side of the slot. All right, choose the middle, the center there, center of that circle, and I'm going to use the center of this circle as well, so we'll click that. All right, now when I do that, you'll see that it's all the way up here, so there's no gap on this side, but there is a gap on this side. So we're going to need to correct that and kind of try and center this out a little bit more. So we're going to, on the revolute menu here, we're going to choose offset, and then I'm just going to play around with the number. So I'm going to start with like 0.1. You can see it went the wrong way, so negative 0.1. I'll hit enter. All right, so 0.1 is too much. So let's half that. Let's go negative 0.05. Getting better. We'll go negative 0.025. All right, it looks pretty good, I would say. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. And again, you can just mess with these numbers and then just hit enter, and you'll see it update. So if I just put in like 1 and hit enter, you don't have to hit the green check every time and then try to edit the revolute. So negative point, I think it's at 0.025. Yeah, that looks good. So, all right, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and hit check there. And now we've got this part of the assembly all taken care of. And if I want to check that and make sure that it works, it's going to be a little difficult trying to see the whole thing moves. So I could fix this one in place. And then once that's fixed in place, you'll be able to see how that responds to that. So that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on this part again and unfix it, because we're going to need to move that and attach it to this extension handle right here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do M for mate. We'll use the fasten mate again. But this time you can see it's got the little narrowed out part of the peg here, so this is going to get inserted into that hole. and I want the top of this to be bottomed out at the bottom of the hole. So I want to go all the way up in there. So there's a couple ways I can do this. The first one is maybe I could choose the end of this rod, and then when I do the cylinder, I'll hold shift and I can choose the very back one. The other option that we have would be to use the base of this, so like this end of the peg, so I'll choose that, and then when I rotate and look at this one, choose the outside. So kind of like what's supposed to be touching what, right, and make that correlate. So I'll choose that, and you can see it did go all the way up in there. The other thing that you could do is, again, you could choose any of those, make connectors, and then use the offset feature to extend it one way or another to make it go deeper into the hole. But I like to just kind of like be more efficient with it, so just choose the parts that are going to be touching together, or choose the make connectors that should be touching each other or coincident with one another, and then we're good to go there. So I'm going to hit check, and yeah, moving right along. So next thing that I'm going to do is, now that we've got the this part in, we can go ahead and put the peg in. So I'm going to choose, you could choose a fastened or you could choose a revolute. I'll just go ahead and do revolute. It doesn't matter because the peg's not going to affect the rotation anyway. So I'm going to choose revolute, and I'm going to go all the way down here to the base, put that there, and then we'll choose the other mate connector, which is going to be right here. So if I get the cylinder, hold shift, now I can choose the outside, and I want that to go all the way through there. So that looks good. And then check. All right. The next thing that we'll do is we will put this long rod right here into the base. So we'll go and we will choose, this time we're going to choose a slider. Okay, and it's important to remember when we use the slider that it is going to be sliding along the z-axis. So if I choose the end down here, I need to make sure that that blue line, which represents the z-axis, is parallel with the sides, or in other words, it's pointing in the direction that we want it to slide. So I'm going to choose that there. And then we're going to go, again, same thing, we've got to make sure that the axis is pointing along the z-axis is pointing along the center axis of the base. And so in this case, you can see it's pointing up, which is what I want. So I'll hit check there. All right, that. And then we're good to go on that. So what I can do now is, you know, if I just leave this and hit the green check, it's going to be able to slide literally all the way through. It's not going to detect any kind of interaction. So if I hit solve here, you'll see if this piece here were to hit the bottom, it's not going to bottom out. It's just going to allow that to go through the other part. So we need to apply the limits. And so on here, if I go ahead and we can test this out, I'm going to say the minimum is 0 and the maximum is, I don't know, 6. Okay, we're just going to try that. Okay, and if I do that, what you can do is you can hit the little play button here, and you can see that that is how far it's going to go. So it actually looks like 0 starts way up here, and what it's doing is basically looks like it's calling 0 way up here. So let's make this like 3, and then let's make that 9. Okay, we're going to hit play. All right, so 3 was a little too much, so we'll go 1. Let's try 1 and 9. Whoops, if I open that back up, we'll hit play. All right, I'm happy with the 1, but it looks like we may need to go a little bit farther than that, so we'll try 10, play. Yeah, we're getting close, so we'll go 10.5, and then we'll say that's good. All right, good. So check, that looks good. So I can bring that down, and right now that's as far as it goes. Again, if you wanted to edit that, you just simply double click on the slider, edit your numbers, and then hit check. All right. So the next thing that we have is we're going to put, even though it looks like these are not hollow, we're going to put this to where it slides in and out. So these are intended to be hollow, and then this is adjustable for your phone, depending on the size of your phone. So we'll again use the slider mate. So I'm going to hit M on the keyboard. We're going to go to slider. All right, and again, we're just going to make sure that those arrows are pointing, the blue line is pointing in the direction we want the sliding to happen. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to click that. All right. Now what's interesting about this is we don't have to do a slider on the other side. So we can just do it on the one time, but we just got to make sure that it is lined up. So for example, if I rotate the secondary axis, you can see that the bottom, or the little base there, is just rotating 90 degrees at a time around. So if I have this kind of set up in the right spot to begin with, I don't have to put a slider on the other side, and it should stay in this configuration. So again, we're going to work on limits here. So I'm going to say, again, 0, we'll say 2 for the maximum this time, we'll hit play. All right, that looks like we'll try 1 again, and this time we'll try 1.5. Let's see what that looks like. All right, I think the 1 looks good, but maybe 2. Oh, I see. So maybe this one needs to be 0. It's not liking that. So we're going to try 0.5, 2. Oh, I see. This is going to have to be negative. So negative 2 to 2. Play. All right, so the 2 is still a little bit big there, but looks like we had to go, I'm going to have to go a little bit less than negative 2, negative 1. Anyway, we're going to play around with these numbers until we find what it is that is going to work for us here. So anyway, so I'm going to leave that for now, but we're going to play around with those numbers until we find something that seems to work for us there. And it might be easier when we, I'll show you another way that we can figure that out. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and use the M key, and we're going to fasten the end of this. Okay, and this is one of those ones where, again, I want the end to go all the way up into the base right here. So I'm just going to hover over that. That's where it highlights the cylinder. Hold Shift, and I'm going to choose the one that's way up in there. Okay. All right, and then we'll go ahead and hit solve just so we can see it all together there. All right, everything looks good. Gonna hit check, and we have the entire assembly done. So I should be able to lift this up. All right, I should be able to rotate that in and out. And then we have the slider that is right here. So for example, on the slider, let me close this out there. Example on the slider, I can take the slider and go all the way down. It looks like that's as far as it lets me go. And if I open up the slider, it'll tell me the position that it's in. So let's see. All right, so we should be able to kind of zoom in on that. Right now you can see it's sitting at 0.5. All right, and if we were to say move that down, it's wanting me to select. So let me move that up. I'm gonna have to fix that so it stops moving on us here. If I were to move it there and then hit the slider again, it says that we are currently at -1. Okay, so I don't want it to go that high, so let's make this 0. Okay, that's good. And then make this one 1. Okay. Check, move that back up. All right, yeah, that's better. And that's as high as it goes. So that looks good. So again, so it looks like on my slider I chose to do 0 and 1, and that seems to work out pretty well for our distances. If we want to go a little bit farther, maybe make it like 1.25 or something, that would be fine as well. So, all right, there we have it.